I think Atlanta is like a pretty great city. The food was so bad.
I felt a little out of place.
I don't know if I trust that because I don't know how often they clean that. Freshman year, walking up Freshman Hill, covered in sweat and like mosquito bites.
There's a lot of opportunity here,
which is where I lived, and those were really nice.
but obviously the stress does get to you.
Hey everyone, today we'll be sharing what life is really like at Georgia Tech. We'll be rating our experience based on factors like workload, on-campus opportunities, living options, and career. I thought it would be really helpful to hear the perspective of someone other than me, so I brought along a special guest.
Hey everyone, so I'm Tushar. I'm a second year Masters in Human-Computer Interaction student at Georgia Tech. I'm also an international student, so I'm hoping that I can give you guys the sort of international side of the experience as well.
Yeah, and just for some context, I am an out-of-state third-year industrial design student at Georgia Tech. Just as a disclaimer, please take our opinions with a grain of salt. These are just our personal experiences. And also let us know if you want any more videos, and feel free to comment down below any questions or requests. So our first topic is going to be workload, specifically from our experiences, what have been like the typical number of classes we've taken and how much work is it per class. For an undergraduate perspective, to be a full-time student, you have to take around 12 classes and maximum credits is around 18. So for my experience as an industrial design major, so I actually took 8 classes my first semester, and not necessarily were they a lot of work per class, but just having to manage like 8 different schedules was a lot of work. So it definitely got a little bit lighter as I went on, but I guess for anyone who wants to be like an engineering major, from the friends I've had, they take around like 3 to 5 classes, and those translate into like around 12 to 16 credits. So it definitely varies with your major and also like how much you want to take on, but I think it's definitely manageable.
I can give the international perspective on this because as grad students, I think you're supposed to take 12 credits per semester to maintain a full-time student status, which international students are supposed to be. Grad school is very dependent on the kind of courses you take. There's a lot of project-based courses, or you could end up taking a lot of research courses or a lot of courses that have where you have to do a bunch of readings every week. But I can tell you that I've had enough time personally. So if you can manage your time pretty well, I would say that there is still some scope for having a social life if you do all of those things well. But yeah, it's definitely a grind, but I would say that it's doable.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's doable if you manage your time wisely. Another question about workload is difficulty. So maybe how difficult have your courses have been, whether they're like project-based or test-based?
Yeah, so I think in terms of difficulty, again, some of the classes that I found the most difficult were the ones that had lots of readings in them. You know, you're supposed to read like 5 papers every week. And these papers can be anywhere from like 5 to 20 pages or even 40 in some cases. And you're supposed to like write a 1,000-word reflection on what you learned from that entire, set of readings. So difficulty, again, just because of the breadth of courses that you can take, my concentration was sort of CS-based design. And obviously that means you can take a lot of CS courses like computer vision or design of algorithms. In the most case, I would say Georgia Tech has a variety of different skill levels or difficulty levels in terms of courses. So I think anyone can easily satisfy their requirements.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And similarly, I've taken both project-based and test-based courses. So of course, like your like idea of difficulty is going to change dependent on those. When I was taking a lot of the science prereqs like linear algebra and integral calculus and everything, I would say those classes are difficult in the sense that you have to know the subjects pretty well, and of course you're being tested on those. And then like project-based courses can be difficult in their own way, just like because you have a lot of deadlines and you have to be doing a lot of different assignments for projects. But at the end of the day, I know a lot of intro classes for undergraduate also curve, specifically like the STEM classes, and there's a ton of resources at Tech, so I don't think any class is like too hard. You definitely have like the support, but that's kind of like our summary of workload. Next, I thought it would be good to talk about environment. So Georgia Tech is known to be a very high stress environment, very prestigious and competitive. I guess from your experience, how has that been? Like, have you felt that it's very competitive, or do you feel like it's supportive as well?
So I felt very welcomed when I joined the program, and my cohort had people ranging from like 22-year-olds like me, but also they had 28-year-olds who had a lot of industry experience. I guess that's one good thing about grad school, is that you have people with all of these various walks of life coming in and trying to learn something new, or just like honing their skills in things that they've already learned before or have been working in those fields before. In terms of the entire school, I would say there is still like that feeling of competitiveness, especially during internship hunts and everything. Obviously, you're all kind of fighting for similar roles, but I wouldn't say that has, impacted any of my relationships or my friendships with anyone in the program. I still feel like we're all supportive as a bunch. So I would say that overall I do feel supported, but obviously the stress does get to you and at some points in your journey. So I would say it's a good mix of both, but you just have to make sure that you have enough resources and you utilize enough of those resources during your time here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree in the sense that, in my opinion, like my experience has been pretty high stress, but it's not because like other students are putting that on you. It's more of like, you wanting to succeed and maybe the stress you put on yourself. Like I know I'm probably too hard on myself, especially during like internship recruitment and everything. At the end of the day, I think like people want to help you. So I just wanted to point out like tech has counseling services and like a medical center. They're also like really great academic resources. So if you want help on like material from a class, we have like TAs, free one-to-one tutoring, and like undergraduate group sessions. And then we also have mental health and like de-stress events. I would say like, I don't know in your opinion, but I think like there could always be more like mental health support. I think that tech talks about it a lot, but sometimes there's like not enough capacity in the centers for students, which is what I've heard. So I think those kind of things can always be improved.
Yeah, I think I've heard a bunch of things about. I think I've seen a lot of Reddit posts where, how tech talks about a lot of these resources, but when people have actually tried going in there, as you mentioned, like the overcapacity and stuff. So
I guess the next topic is location and campus. Since we both are not from Georgia, of course, like going to Georgia Tech was a big change. And I guess like, do you have any thoughts about like the location of the campus in general, as well as like, how do you like the campus so far?
since I live in Midtown, I feel like since it's very close to campus and it's like the heart of the city, I've personally had a good experience with living in Atlanta so far. It can be a little bit expensive based on your taste, so that's definitely something that you have to keep in mind. But there's lots of restaurants, lots of options, lots of fun things to do around Midtown.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like coming from the Bay Area, I wasn't sure what to expect, but I think Atlanta is like a pretty great city for college, since like campus itself feels very secluded. Like there's a lot of trees and greenery, and you can basically walk right off into Tech Square. So I think the proximity to other places is really good. And then just from like an out-of-state student perspective, you can actually take the MARTA from the airport to campus for $2.50, which is really great. So I really like the campus. I think it's super nice. The longest walk across is only around 25 minutes. So you can get everywhere you need to be. But Tushar mentioned like it could be expensive to live here, which I definitely agree. I guess I just wanted to give like a run over of the living options. So for first years, you're most likely going to be living in the dorms. So there's West Campus, which is a little bit more quiet and secluded, and East Campus has more near like Greek life and near some dining halls. So Glennon Towers is like the newest dorms, which is where I lived, and those were really nice. But some dorms like are not very nice. Like they had like leak problems and like the showers weren't working. So the dorms they're okay. After second year, you can choose to live on campus in an apartment, which are like kind of just like standard mediocre apartments, or you can choose to live off campus. You can live in Midtown, where they have really nice apartments that are like high-rise studio housing, and those are super nice, but they are quite expensive. So a lot of other people who are in their undergrad will live in Home Park, which is more toward off West Campus, and they're more like actual houses, and that's a lot more affordable, but some people have complained about the safety. That's just kind of like the living situation, since I know a lot of people are like trying to figure out where they would want to live. I guess like for you coming from India, like how did you find the weather in Atlanta?
I think it's surprisingly pleasant. Because
Really?
obviously, obviously it rains a little bit during some parts of the year. It's usually hot, and I come from Mumbai, which is like a coastal region, so it's usually breezy there, and I felt it to be like an okay-ish change. uh, so yeah, what about you? Did you find it bad?
Like, I guess I come from the Bay Area, so I'm very privileged with the weather, but I am not used to the humidity. Like, I feel like you probably are a lot more, but I just remember, like, freshman year walking up Freshman Hill, and then you're just, like, covered in sweat and, like, mosquito bites, and it's just, like, not pleasant at all. But besides that, yeah, like, during the spring semester, like, there are a few weeks of nice weather, and since, like, Georgia's more in the south, it doesn't get as cold as like other east coast colleges, so I think the weather is okay, but the humidity in the summer can be kind of a pain if you're not used to it. I guess like next thing we wanted to talk about, which is like something I'm sure a lot of students have in mind, is career opportunities. So of course, like when you're going to college, you want to get those internships and graduate with a good job. So do you want to talk about kind of your experience with the career fair, whether it's the one part of your program or just any networking in general? Like, how do you feel Georgia Tech has prepared you for your career?
Yeah, sure. So as I mentioned briefly, I think in the intro part of the video, that my program does have a lot of like career related resources available. Our alums do like specific resume reviews with us, or even portfolio reviews. We have career related events of our own. You have plenty of opportunities to talk to people, and a lot of people in our program have gotten jobs because of that career fair. There's also the all major grad career fairs and a bunch of other career fair related things. I personally haven't attended them, but I know some folks in my program who have. In general, I would say one of the best things about being at Georgia Tech is that you have this network of amazing people who have graduated already from this place. So I've reached out to countless alums where, it's just about making that first initial connection, right? Having that first familiarity with them, and Georgia Tech helps you get there because you're like, hey, I noticed that you also went to tech. I would love to talk to you, get some career advice as someone who's just starting out in the field and stuff. So there's plenty of opportunities to connect with the community at large, I would say. And for me, that's the biggest part about being like a Georgia Tech student.
Just the name of Georgia Tech itself has really helped. Of course, like a lot of people, if you tell them you're from Georgia Tech, especially if you're applying to places in Georgia, like they will know what that is. And like the alumni network is super strong. I've also reached out to people for informational chats and have even like gotten job opportunities through that. So I think that just the name itself is really good. We do have like one of the biggest career fairs or something. They actually hold it in the CRC, which is the gym. But personally, I haven't found it too useful. Like Tushar said, it's mainly for engineering and CS students. So if you're in that major, like it's really great because a lot of people can get interviews straight from there. And I've heard that there's a lot of success. But of course, for other majors, you might not have as much opportunity, but I still would encourage people to go. Like this past fall, I went to the online one and I got interviews out of that. So that was helpful. And something to keep in mind too is Georgia Tech has a lot of connections with companies in the like same location. So a lot of companies from Atlanta are specifically looking to recruit Georgia Tech students. Next topic is diversity. So I guess I can just like start off. I think compared to other colleges in Georgia, like Georgia Tech is very diverse just because we have a lot of international and out-of-state students because it's a STEM institution. But definitely I've noticed, at least in my experience as an undergrad, is there's a ton of in-state students, and that's primarily because they get scholarships. So there's a lot of them who end up attending Georgia Tech, which is good and everything. I think like a thing I didn't realize in my freshman year was, since a lot of my friends were in state, like during the weekends or holidays, they would go home since they lived like an hour away. And as an out-of-state student, I would kind of just be stuck in the dorms myself. But that's just something like to keep in mind. It's pretty minor. But otherwise, I think like we do have like a pretty diverse student population, though I think it definitely could be more diverse.
Yeah, on the grad side of things, I would say it's very diverse because in my program alone has like 70 students, and I feel like 40 or 35 out of those students are international. So, and even in terms of ages, backgrounds of what they did before they joined the program. I found it to be very insightful because it's like whoever you talk to, you can learn something new from them. Even in group projects and everyone, I've worked with a lot of different people, and it sort of makes you a better communicator and a better collaborator, having that sort of international experience working with all kinds of folks.
Another topic is like on-campus resources. So I've mentioned this in my previous videos, but like Georgia Tech has on-campus transportation. So we have a bus system that goes around the entire campus and into Midtown and like to the grocery store. And we also have Singerettes, which is like a rideshare service for like late at night if you don't want to walk places. Have you had any experiences with those? Because for me, like most of the times they would just like never show up, so you kind of just have to end up walking anyways.
I haven't used the Stingnet personally, but I have dropped off friends. I do agree that the app or like the web interface that they have could be improved, but in my limited experience, it usually worked for them.
Yeah, I think the Singeret is more reliable, but there have definitely been a lot of complaints on Reddit about like the bus system. I think it definitely is helpful, but I wouldn't rely on it. Like there's times I've waited and it's not come and I'm just like late to class. So I think it's always useful, but just like keep in mind that the app is not always accurate. I guess like other resources, have you used the gym at campus? Because I have never.
I think I've used it twice, to be honest, but that's not to say that I don't use the gym at all. I live it, as I mentioned, I live in Midtown, so I'm lucky enough to have a building that has had a gym. So I just prefer waking up early in the morning and going there instead of traveling to the CRC.
Also, like for a lot of people, the CRC is pretty far since it's like all the way on West Campus, but I know Glennon Towers and North Avenue Apartments have gyms inside, so that's always an option. Other on-campus resources, I think that Georgia Tech has pretty great facilities. Like we have a brand new library, we have the Kolk, which is just kind of where a lot of people do their work, and there's like a Starbucks and everything, and there's West Village, which has some food court places and also studying space. Yeah, the Kolk has a nap room, but I don't know if I trust that because I don't know how often they clean that. I mean, they definitely don't have it now because of COVID, but yeah, they have a nap room where it's like a window so everyone can see you sleeping, which is funny. Another thing, I thought that was really great where we actually have a ton of innovative resources. Every student can use the Invention Studio, which is like a place where you can get help if you want to like do a project, like I don't know, like laser cutting, 3D printing, woodworking. So I think that was like something that was really cool. I've gone there a couple times. And then like the School of Industrial Design also has a wood shop down below as well as 3D printers. And you can also go to the aerospace makerspace. So I was doing a project and just went there, and like they have students working there that are willing to help you. So I thought those were like a really great part of Georgia Tech, especially since like Georgia Tech's like motto is really to like, you know, create the next, and like they're so huge on innovation that it's great that like students can go to these facilities and like make stuff.
Yeah, I feel like in terms of innovative resources, the only thing I've used is like a poster printer. So I'm probably not the best person to ask about those.
Yeah, we've had to use those too. I just remember like freshman studio, like everyone standing in line to use the plotter printer. It was very chaotic, but it's good that we have those resources. Another topic, which I'm not sure if you've had much experience since you were not a undergraduate student, but the food. I guess just from my experience, I know like they've changed the dining companies and food and stuff, but when I was a first year, like the food was so bad. Like we only had Britain, which is like all you can eat, and that stuff was just like plain American food. And then North Avenue was like always out of silverware, and like the burgers were like not cooked well, and I don't know, like the food was like not good, like just being transparent. But West Village, they had like some nicer food court kind of things which are better, and I've heard that they're replacing stuff. And then we also had the student center, which had like Dunkin' Donuts, Panda Express, Ray's Pizza. So yeah, I don't know, have you ever ate at one of the dining halls?
No, I don't even know if I'm allowed to because I never had those like bus card credits or whatever that everyone uses. But
Too bad. I could have taken you as a first year. You could have tried the food.
yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound like it was something worth trying according to your experiences. But TSRB is located in the Tech Square part of campus, so they have like their own food courts, and there's like lots of eating options for like all these different cuisines. I think yeah, there's plenty of options if you're willing to spend the money, uh, and if it fits your budget.
Just off the top of my head, like there's like some good restaurants like Ponko Chicken. Like I don't know if you've tried it in Midtown. That's good. There's a Sato Thai off of West and a ramen place near NCR. But yeah, like I
Momonoke.
think yeah, Momonoki. Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
it was really good. I miss
Yeah.
going places. But yeah, I think that after you get beyond your first year, like you'll be good. Like there's a Publix right in Midtown, and there's also like Trader Joe's near Ponce Market. So there's definitely like options. And I think like the dining halls have gotten better. But when I was there, like they were not it. I guess like the next topic is courses. It's like such a subjective topic, but I guess in your experience, like have you been happy with like the quality and like variety of courses that you're able to take?
Yeah, I think, yeah, as you mentioned, this is a very subjective question. There have been courses where I've been really happy with the outcome of the course. For example, all the CS courses that I've taken, I feel like they're very well thought of, and I've definitely learned a lot in those courses. But then there have been other courses where I've felt not as happy as I would have liked to. So yeah, take this with a grain of salt. But there have been some things that my classmates have also pointed out, which is like visual design. So that's something that as designers, it's so important for us to learn. But I haven't personally found a good enough course that a lot of people have recommended to me that really teaches you that thing in detail. So it's definitely there, and that's a known issue. So the good thing is that people are very vocal about what they like and they don't like here. So there is plenty of opportunity for giving feedback, and you can just hope that over time they do realize their shortcomings and they make it better.
I guess like our experience is definitely coming from being design majors. Like off the top of my head, I think like my math classes, my CS classes have been pretty straightforward because like math has been around for such a long time and those like principles don't really change. But as design students, of course, like the industry is constantly changing. So I definitely think it's a problem at all universities, but I think specifically here too, the curriculum is pretty outdated. So like Tushar said, like we learn like fundamentals, but you don't really learn how to like do the actual design just because like the softwares and tools are always changing. So that's something to keep in mind. And just being a STEM school, like you don't have to take as many like humanities courses. So like if you only want to take STEM courses, like this is a great school for you. But I think like from my perspective, I wish that there would be like slightly more humanities and liberal arts classes. Every liberal arts major is lumped into one major called literature, media, and communication. So there's just like not that many options for LMC students to take those courses. I would definitely love to see like more variety of courses. But yeah, I guess the last thing I had was cost. I think like we probably are on the same side because we are both out-of-state students. So if you didn't know, like in-state students get scholarships if they keep a certain GPA. So if you're an in-state student and you got into Georgia Tech, like I think it pretty much is a no-brainer for some people. But out of state is fairly expensive and there's usually like very little financial aid. I'm not sure if you have anything else to add to that.
There is a caveat here because for grad students, there's a lot of opportunity for funding. So even though it's not technically a scholarship, it's known as a graduate research assistantship or a graduate teaching assistantship. But if you have these positions, they sort of waive a part of your tuition, a huge chunk. And on top of that, you get a monthly stipend. So those opportunities are definitely available, but sometimes they're hard to find. It depends a lot on the situation, what labs are hiring. So you have to be a little proactive in that sense. There's a lot of resources available, but you have to network your way into a GRA in some cases. But I would say that was one of the reasons why I chose Georgia Tech, because a lot of the other grad programs that I applied to did not have any scope for funding or scholarship. At Georgia Tech, it seemed like most people do end up getting a GRA or GTA for at least like 1 or 2 semesters in their master's program journey.
I'm definitely glad you mentioned that, because undergraduate, I don't think it's not really an option, but like you said, like if you are proactive, you can find ways to like reduce the cost of your college. So like if you are an undergrad and you are like a RA, so like you live in the either on-campus apartments or freshman year dorms, you can get free housing. And then, of course, you can always, like, try to get an on-campus job. There's a ton of jobs. Like, you can definitely find a part-time job. There's definitely ways to minimize the cost of going to Georgia Tech. But yeah, I think that, like, covered most of the topics. I know, like, we went over a lot. And, of course, like, everyone's going to have things they love and hate about, like, each college. But I think the most important thing is, like, knowing you can really, like, make the most out of your experience, like, regardless of college you end up going. And if you end up going to Georgia Tech and like put in the effort, I think like you can have a very fulfilling experience. I think everything is pretty subjective to the individual, but there's definitely like opportunities and things you can do to make your experience better. And I know everyone talks about the stress, and like it definitely is a stressful school and you have a lot of work, but everyone says you come out of it stronger, which I hope will be the case.
Yeah, just to add to that, I would say that once I got here, I felt a little, out of place just because of how talented everyone around me was. But, as you give it time, as you settle in, especially as an international student, give yourself some time, and in due time, you will realize that you do have a place here. And you were accepted because of a reason, because they saw something in you. There's a lot of opportunity here. And no matter what you like, I think you'll find more than enough opportunities to go and do amazing things.
Yes, that ends this video on a very positive note. But thank you so much for watching. If you watched till the end, this was a very long conversation. But we really just wanted to provide our insights on our like honest experience at Georgia Tech, and hopefully if you are either like deciding to come here or like gearing up for your first year here, hopefully you can take away some insights from us. But thank you so much for watching, and feel free to comment down below if you have any questions in general or for Tushar specifically, and we will get back to you on that. But yeah, thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next one. Okay, I'm gonna stop recording. Oh my god.